the town that erased itself from Google Maps. The GPS froze at exactly 2:13 a.m. Reporter Evan Marlowe tapped his phone, swiped, restarted the app. Nothing. The glowing blue arrow that marked his position spun in circles, then disappeared. Only the beige emptiness of the Nevada desert stretched across the screen. Headlights from his SUV cut a narrow path through the sand and sagebrush. The road, if it could even be called that, had vanished from both the map and reality. The tires rolled over cracked dirt where there should have been asphalt. A moment ago, the navigation had read "Welcome to Daring, Nevada." Then, like someone hitting delete, the town's name blinked out. Evan rolled to a stop, the engine humming in the dark. Ahead, faint lights flickered in the distance. Streetlights, maybe. Relief loosened his chest. The town existed after all. He grabbed his camera, stepped out, and started recording. But the lights began to fade. One by one, the street lamps winked out, swallowed by the black horizon. A low static bled into the air, like the hiss of a detuned radio. When Evan checked his camera screen, it showed no lights, no road, just his own shadow stretching toward nothing. Then came the voice, a faint whisper, carried by the desert wind. "Turn back." He froze. The sound wasn't on the wind anymore. It was inside the car. The SUV's radio had switched on by itself, the screen flashing coordinates. 0.0, 00.0, the global null point. Evan jumped back inside, slammed the door, and floored the gas pedal. But the car didn't move. The tires spun in place as if the desert floor had turned slick. The world outside the windshield began to shimmer, like heat mirage, except colder. Through the distortion, Evan saw something impossible. The faint outline of a town forming in the haze. Street signs, a water tower, a diner with flickering neon that read Daring Cafe. He blinked, and it was gone again, along with the road beneath him. The SUV jolted once, twice, and then the engine cut out completely. Silence. He sat there, hands trembling on the steering wheel, staring into a darkness that seemed to pulse with static. His phone screen glowed faintly, still frozen on the map. Just blank desert, his location marked unknown. He raised his camera and whispered into the microphone. "If anyone finds this, Daring's still out here, but it doesn't want to be found." The camera blinked red once more, then shut off on its own. And in the quiet that followed, Evan saw the faintest light ahead again. A single flicker from the center of the vanished town. Against every instinct, he opened the door and stepped out into the cold wind, drawn toward it. He didn't see the sand shifting behind him, as if something beneath was slowly moving closer. The desert swallowed the sound of his footsteps, and before dawn broke, both Evan Marlowe and his coordinates disappeared from every system that had ever tracked them. 2 days after Evan Marlowe vanished, his editor, Dana Harlow, sat in her small Las Vegas newsroom, staring at the last text he'd sent. "Got something big. The town's still here. You just can't see it." Police had searched the desert for 48 hours. No car, no camera, no phone. Just a patch of scorched earth where his vehicle's GPS signal had last pinged. The area wasn't even on the map anymore. The satellite images showed nothing but sand. Dana couldn't let it go. Evan wasn't reckless. He was methodical, almost paranoid about safety. If he said there was something there, there was. So she packed her own equipment, printed old highway maps from before 2019, and headed into the Nevada desert. The drive was endless. Hours of dust and heat, the sky stretching like faded glass. When she reached the last sign of civilization, a half-collapsed gas station with a rusted Coca-Cola sign, the old paper map showed one more dot about 15 miles ahead. Daring, NV. But her phone's GPS? Blank, just like Evan's. She followed the printed map, the road ahead turning rougher with each mile. Eventually, the asphalt gave way to gravel and then dirt. The air grew oddly still. Even the wind seemed to die. When she rolled down her window, it was quiet. Too quiet. No insects, no hum of distant trucks, nothing. Then, out of nowhere, her car radio clicked on. Static. She frowned, tapping the dial. The frequency number flickered. 91.9. And beneath the static, she heard it. Daring Cafe. Still open. Tonight only. Her chest tightened. Evan had mentioned a diner by that name in his final recording. She slowed the car, eyes scanning the desert ahead. And there, just for a heartbeat, she saw it. A faint cluster of lights shimmering like reflections on water. But when she blinked, they were gone. Her phone vibrated. One new message. Unknown number. Don't come here. His sender's number wasn't a normal one. It was 0010000. Dana's stomach turned cold. She stopped the car and stepped out, the desert heat pressing on her skin. Her camera's timestamp flickered as if struggling to record. And then, just beyond the ridge, she saw something impossible. A green highway sign standing upright in the sand. It read, "Welcome to Daring, population 482. Her car's engine sputtered, the headlights dimming. The desert around her grew darker, as though the sun itself was fading faster than it should. She grabbed her flashlight and walked toward the sign, her boots crunching over the dry earth. When she reached it, she noticed the numbers below the population count. They were flickering, changing, 481, 480. And as the number dropped, she heard footsteps behind her. Slow, dragging, deliberate. Dana turned. Nobody was there. But the sand bore fresh prints, her own, heading the opposite direction. Her breath caught. She whispered, "Evan?" The flashlight flickered once, then went out completely. And when the light returned, just for a second, the sign was gone. Only her car remained, headlights dim, radio still whispering static words that sounded more and more like names. Including hers. When Dana woke, she was still in the driver's seat, except her car was no longer on the road. The windows were fogged from the inside, the engine cold. Her phone said it was 7:42 a.m., but the light outside looked wrong. The sky glowed a dull orange, like sunrise and sunset happening at the same time. She pushed open the door and stepped out, the sand crunching underfoot. Her car sat in the middle of what looked like a dried-up parking lot. Cracked pavement, a tilted street lamp, a rusted sign that read, "Deering Diner, homemade pie since 1957. The air smelled of burnt dust and rain that never came. Her pulse raced. The town was here. It existed. Or at least, some version of it did. Buildings lined the empty street. A post office, a gas station, a barber shop. Everything looked decades old, yet untouched by time. Windows were spotless, cars sat parked neatly along the curb, and yet, there wasn't a sound, not one living thing. She raised her camera, recording slowly as she whispered, "This is Dana Harlow. It's October 4th. I found Daring." Her voice echoed faintly, and then echoed again, but slightly delayed, as if someone else were repeating her words a second too late. She turned sharply. Nothing there. As she moved deeper into town, she saw details that didn't make sense. A newspaper stand with headlines dated April 17th, 2019, the day Daring supposedly vanished from all satellite imagery. A dog leash tied to a post, no dog attached. Coffee cups still half full on diner tables visible through the window. She stepped inside the diner. The bell above the door chimed. The air inside was warm, faintly smelling of pancakes and burnt syrup. But the seats were empty, plates half-eaten, forks mid-motion, as if frozen in time. Her camera caught it all until the screen started to glitch, pixels tearing. For a split second, the reflection in the window showed something. Then behind her, people sitting in every booth, heads bowed. When she spun around, the booths were empty again. Then, a voice. "Miss Harlow?" She froze. It was faint, male, coming from the back of the diner. She followed it slowly, past the counter, past the kitchen door swinging lightly on its hinges. In the narrow hallway beyond, she saw a man standing against the wall, his back turned. He was wearing a desert patrol uniform. Her heart jumped. "Evan?" The man turned. It wasn't Evan. The face was blank, featureless, smooth like porcelain, no eyes, no mouth. Yet the voice came again, this time inside her head. "You shouldn't have come here." The diner lights flickered, buzzing loud enough to hurt her ears. When she stumbled backward into the street, the buildings around her had changed. The diner gone, the sign now reading Deering Cafe, closed. The air shimmered like static on a broken TV. She ran toward her car, but it wasn't there anymore. The only thing in its place was her phone, lying face up in the dirt. The screen lit up with a single notification. Uploading Deering footage. .mp4, 1%. She didn't touch it, but the upload bar kept rising. 2%, 3%, 4%. And then the voice whispered from everywhere at once. "Every time someone searches, we come back." Dana looked around. The town lights flickered on one by one, and all across Google Maps, a new pin appeared for the first time in years. Deering, NV, temporarily visible. The first thing Dana noticed was the sound, a soft, mechanical hum that came from nowhere and everywhere at once. The sky above Deering had darkened into a strange copper hue, and the edges of the town flickered like a video buffering at low speed. She clutched her camera, backing away as the uploading bar on her phone climbed past 70%. The wind picked up, blowing sand and paper through the empty streets. Somewhere, a swing creaked. The sound of a church bell rang in the distance, though there was no church in sight. Then she saw him. At the far end of Main Street, a figure stepped out of the haze, a man in the same jacket Evan wore in his missing photo. His walk was slow, stiff, and his head tilted slightly to the side, like a puppet half-controlled. Dana shouted his name, running toward him. When she got close enough to see his face, her breath caught. It was Evan, but not exactly. His eyes were pale, like fogged glass. His expression was calm, distant, like someone still half asleep. "Evan, is that you?" she whispered. He nodded slowly. "You shouldn't have followed me." She swallowed hard. "What is this place?" Evan looked past her, toward the flickering horizon. "Deering erased itself. We didn't disappear. We deleted ourselves. It started when the mapping satellites updated the region. The town didn't want to be seen anymore." Dana shook her head, backing away. "That's impossible." Evan's voice cracked slightly, static weaving through his words. Every photo, every coordinate, every memory of Deering was tied to the network. When Google's system tried to remap, something pushed back. The town went offline, but it didn't vanish. Behind him, the storefronts began to ripple, as though submerged underwater. Signs distorted, letters twisting into symbols. "What happens now?" Dana asked. Evan's eyes flickered like a dying light bulb. "You brought it back." The upload reached 99%. From the edge of town came a deep vibration, the ground trembling beneath her feet. The horizon fractured like glass, revealing glimpses of other places, highways, deserts, cities, all glitching and warping together. She realized with horror that Deering wasn't returning to the world was being pulled into Deering. Her phone buzzed once more. On the screen, upload complete. The moment it hit 100%, the entire town went silent. Then, one by one, streetlights flickered out. The diner sign glowed bright red, casting long shadows across the sand. Evan's form began to fade, dissolving into a faint outline of light. "Tell them not to search for it," he said softly, his voice echoing as if from far away. "The more they look, the more it remembers." Dana tried to run, but the road beneath her stretched endlessly, looping back on itself. Every direction led to the same place, the center of town. And there, she saw her car again. Except it wasn't dusty or abandoned. It was brand new, engine running, headlights beaming. The driver's door stood open. Her own reflection sat behind the wheel, smiling faintly. The camera slipped from her hand. The desert wind rose again, carrying the faint sound of a digital ping, the kind that plays when a new location is added online. By morning, Deering, Nevada reappeared on every map in the world. Population 483. And Dana's phone was found at a rest stop 200 miles away. Screen cracked, still recording.